Good morning. You know, I'm standing here listening and watching the ceremony and remembering how literally 1 block away from where I am now at the opposite corner, that's where I was standing when the first tower fell. And all throughout the morning, we watched as commuters emerged from the subway. And you could see on some of their faces, the people were feeling the emotional weight of today. A lot of those folks were also down here on 9/11. You know, watching the videos today from inside the museum during the dedication ceremony, it just really brings it all back as if it just happened yesterday. And you can't help but be in awe of this fitting tribute to the thousands of people who perished on that day.
Nearly 13 years after the World Trade Center's Twin Towers fell, a museum opens today honoring those who lost their lives in the attacks. Visitors will see an exhibition dedicated to the 2,983 people killed on September 11th and in the February 1993 bombing.
At the very site where terrorists sought to destroy us, we have rebuilt.
The museum tells the story of one of the darkest days in U.S. history through personal artifacts, photos, audio, and video. And it allows visitors to connect with pieces of the Twin Towers. The survivors' stairs, still mostly intact from the North Tower, a stairwell so many used to run for safety. The steel beams that formed a cross and became a symbol of hope amid despair. The last columns, still covered with missing posters and mass cards, tagged with graffiti, honoring the policemen and firefighters who died heroes. The museum will also house thousands of remains from unidentified 9/11 victims. Earlier, they were brought to the museum, a decision some family members opposed.
I waited months for my son to be recovered out of that hellhole, and now they're putting him back in there.
They're kept in an area of the museum that's off limits to the public.
They're not in a dungeon. They're not in a basement. They're in a beautiful space that is reverent and respectful.
The remains lie behind a wall, engraved with the words of the poet Virgil. No day shall erase you from the memory of time.
You know, this $700 million museum is opening 3 years behind schedule. Part of the reason is that it was such a complex and complicated construction project. They built the Memorial Plaza, which is essentially the roof of the museum, first with its reflecting pools, and then built the museum beneath it. It's like building a structure from the top down. But it was also taking so long because the museum officials really agonized over every last item that they were including in this museum because they really wanted to be very sensitive to everybody impacted by the events of 9/11 as they put together the exhibits inside the museum. At the World Trade Center, I'm Steve Kastenbaum. Back to you.
All right, Steve, thank you so much for that live report.